Would you look at that? On time for once in my life. How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews here, and I'm going to do a live review. I don't do these that often, but when I get a hankering, I do them, and today is one of those days. This actually is a new brewery for me, Transient Artisan Ales, as you can see on the screen there. This comes courtesy of my boy Ryan. He's Homebrew Dad, the Homebrew Dad. I gotta check that, double check, make sure I'm doing the right stuff here. Let's do that over there. Home Brewing Dad. I forgot the ing. So the Home Brewing Dad on Instagram, he sent me off a bunch of beers. He sent me off one homebrew from him. He sent me off one mystery beer, and he sent me off a couple different beers from a couple different breweries. And this is one of them, Transient Artisan Ales. Never heard of these guys before. Actually, I've heard of them. Never had anything from these guys before. I don't think he has the date for this beer. I had his little note. I don't know where I put it. I didn't toss it away yet, so it might be under my iPad. Nope. Anyway, not going to worry about it. This is a double IPA called The Juice is Loose. This is not my first beer called The Juice is Loose. A lot of people have used that in their beers. This is double IPA at 8% alcohol by volume. These guys are from Bridgman, Michigan. Like I said, no date. It should be relatively fresh, though. I think he actually didn't know the date on this to begin with anyway. So, yeah, we're going to do this. We'll let a couple people fill in, and then we'll go from there. First, quick on the chat, we got Felix from up north in the old Montreal. Let's saying, cheers, Matt. What's going on, homie? Hopefully you're drinking something nice. And, yeah, I'm actually drinking. I just did a beer review before I came on. We'll sip on this for a half second. It is an IPA, so maybe we're stirring up my palate, but it's only 5.5%, as you can see right there. And it is from Grimm. I actually bought this off a shelf, like 5 minutes down the road from me. It's cool to see Grimm off a shelf locally. If I drive deeper into Jersey, into more populated areas, I can find them quite a bit. But be able to pick this up at a price. It was a little bit pricey, but let's put it this way, every ounce worth it. But yeah, I've had my fair share of Michigan beers, but it was cool because Ryan sent off a mix of breweries I really haven't had before, while I did hear of this one before, the other brewery that he sent off, I did not hear anything about previously. The mystery beer was already done. That was quite fun. And yeah, we'll see what's what. He did actually sent off a sour raspberry beer that was that'll be fun to dive into. So we'll see what's what. Jerome in house saying hello there. What's going on, homie? So yeah, take a sip on this one, then we'll dive into this sucker and see what's what. Clang, clang, clang. So yeah, I already read off the stats for this sucker. Let's see what's what. Man, that Grimm's delicious. Double IPAs, I can get down with them. I mean, I am a low ABV is my jam, but see what's what. I like these big fatty snifter glasses. You can pour the whole goddamn beer in there. Label-wise, it's really cool. Abstract art. But you know what this reminds me of, and I actually forget the name of the art. But it's that classic Japanese wave. With that there's a little boat there, and it has that wave. It kind of reminds me of kind of like someone's like abstract interpretation of that. I know that painting has a name, but I forget what it's called. But yeah, I kind of dig it. I can get down with it. And anybody that puts stroke around lettering, I don't know. I've always been a fan of stroke. I know a lot of people think it looks cheesy, but I like stroke. Anyway, that's dark. I mean, I'm not sure. On camera, that comes off actually quite a bit lighter, but it has this rich orange glow to it, almost to the point where you think it would be slightly oxidized, maybe. It just has that rich orange color on it. And it's got a nice, tight, compact head. So it looks the part of a double IPA. They can come off that dark and not be oxidized. Yeah, let's get a nose. Not a big beer, at least in the nose. It doesn't come off overly sweet. And I know I love this. About once every month or so, I get somebody come on my channel and chimes a bit like, you can't smell sweet, asshole. I wish people would just get it. You can't smell sweet. Sweet is taste, but you associate taste with smell, and there's certain things that you can smell that are precursors and indicators of sweetness. So you don't technically smell sweet, but you can perceive sweetness through smell. Anyway, so it doesn't come off overtly sweet. And it doesn't seem like there's a big hop, like bittering presence in there also. Neutral, soft mango vibes. I'm leaning like under-ripened mango on this so much. So, oh, look at that. Felix saying he's just about to drink a sour mango. Maybe a little bit of suggestion there from Zoo Microbrewery, and it's good. Oh, let's see. I really can't comment on the nose all that much because there's really not much there to talk about. And you could be like, well, you just sip on another beer. Maybe it's blocking your palate. I don't know. Because that Grimm's little 5.5%er, nothing too crazy. So yeah, pretty neutral nose, a little bit of soft melon characteristics, not much as far as bittering. Doesn't seem like it's overly sweet or overly bittering. Let's just dive in. Cheers. That mouth feels really, really cool. Like really cool. Like it's almost like lactose level kind of mouthfeel on this sucker. It's definitely a sweet beer, but it's not overly sweet by any stretch of the imagination. And I definitely kind of double down on that kind of mango vibes, but I almost want to go like mango with like mango creamsicle because I'm getting this kind of lactose vibe off of this, both from a mouthfeel and both from a soft kind of confectionery level kind of sweetness. It's not like the sweetness is sharp or super sugary or sweet or anything like that. It's sweet, but it's just softness to the sweetness in a very fun way. It's creepily drinkable, like to the point where I should probably bitch about its ABV not matching up with the way it drinks. There's something about it that doesn't, I don't mind it being 8%. You can tell it's 8%, even though it's not like hitting you across the face with a 2x4. Just the way that kind of melon characteristic, that mango kind of comes off. I don't know. Like I referenced the water painting, and I believe Jerome nailed it for me there as far as that goes. And I don't want to kind of perceptionally kind of lead myself down a certain path, but it kind of reminds me of like the way I've like kind of the way Japanese ice cream I've had before, like melon ice cream. If you've ever been to like a really nice Japanese restaurant and you get real like kind of Japanese ice cream, like melon ice cream, stuff like that. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Not overly sweet. It's not like, just sweet on sweet on sweet. It's a little bit more kind of letting the fruit do the work. But there is a kind of soft confectionery kind of component to it. And while the melon is there, it's real. It's not fake, hence the not overt sweetness to it. I kind of like this beer. I do like it quite a bit. Felix chiming in again saying, oh, no, that's, he already went over that one. Jerome says, something about the label is really giving me Calvin and Hobbes vibes for some reason. Actually, you're pretty much spot on there, dude. That's almost the exact kind of line work you would see in a Calvin and Hobbes comic. Just that kind of chaotic line work is kind of how I put Calvin and Hobbes in the way it's drawn. And it does absolutely 1 billion% make sense. That I would have never noticed that, but that's a good call on that one. Yeah, I still can't go over the mouthfeel on this and how soft and sultry it is. It's really, really fun. I mean, if I go, kind of just brass tacks explain the beer. Mouthfeel's bomb, super soft. The fruit portion of the show doesn't really go too crazy. It leans strictly melon, which is kind of fun. There's soft citrus notes, pretty much every hazy, so that's there. But the dominant portion of the show is that kind of melon characteristic, under-ripened melonness. The sweetness is there, but it's not. It's like confectionery. It's not super sharp, and it comes off as a really fun. Fun is the name of the game here. Fun kind of double IPA. It's not like Mount Rushmore status. I'm not going to do that. Like one of the better ones. It's definitely one of the better double IPAs. One of the more interesting double IPAs I've had as of late. But as far as like Mount Rushmore, no. But let's put it this way. It has me very intrigued about Transient and what they do and the kind of beers that they make, because this is a really fun beer. And I dig it. Thank you very much, Ryan, for sending this off. Very cool. Very cool of you. Like I said, if I didn't mention it already, go check him out. The Homebrewing Dad on the Insta. And this is fun, man. I'm intrigued to try more Transient if this is the kind of stuff they produce. And I'm curious about the dating on this. I'm really curious. Let's actually look it up. Actually, why don't we just do that? I'll tell you when this came out. Oop. I know this is very scintillating when you're watching me stuff on Instagrams. Oh, it can't be that old. Come on. What do we got? It looks like this was released almost exactly a month ago, because on their Instagram they talk about releasing this, and they made a post. Yeah, right around May 13th is actually. Oh shit, I'm wrong, because they don't post stuff to Instagram. The last time they posted something to Instagram was Thanksgiving of 2019. What brewery eschews Instagram? Like, that's like pretty much what people do is Instagram. That's really bizarre. Well, let's put it this way. If they follow here, let me see this. Okay, we got a 2008. Okay. They released it December 4th, 2018. Okay. And then they released it April 7th, 2018. They released it February 9th, 2018. And the last one they have on our Instagram is actually from May of 2019. So they brew it multiple times in the year. So it can't be all that old. But damn, man, I'm intrigued at what brewery in their right mind basically scuttles Instagram. It's like the most vibrant and best marketing tool anybody can actually use. And let's see what their Facebook. Now I'm just blown away. Okay, they use their Facebook a lot. Let's put it that way. It's so weird. It's so weird to just be like meh to Instagram. It's so weird, especially when you can post stuff and then cross post for you. I don't understand why they would do that. So let's see if we can find a better information on release on this sucker. Just so weird. Dun, dun, dun. They're all about the geometric patterns. So they're doing that thing. We're back to February already. I haven't seen it pop up. They might not have posted it. It might be one of their flagship rotationals. There we go. Okay. December 31st. Looks like the newest. So if this has that amount of time on it, then I'd be curious. I'd be curious about it. That it's still drinking this tastily. That's a word, right? Tastily. Trying to see if they have it in their web stores still for sale. They do not. So yeah, if that's, unless they made another batch and send, but I didn't see anything in the old Facebooks. They posted something a couple days ago. Nonetheless, who cares? How about that? How about we don't care about that? Hey, Taco, come here. Come on. Up. Come here. Come here. Up. Up. Taco, up. Come here. I'm trying to entice him because he doesn't come up unless he... Come on, buddy. Come here. Taco. Come on, buddy. There he is. There's the Taco Bean. Taco. Look at all the people on the internets. Right now, you can see him. See him? See him? See him right there? Yeah. Yep, Taco. Taco's first picture I ever took of Taco at a brewery was him trying to steal beer from me, because he is a little beer stealing monster. It is 6:14. We appointment feed our dogs, and it is about 40 minutes to he eats. So he is very, very hungry right now. He wants to eat everything. You want food? Do you? You sure? I'm teasing him now. Now I'm an asshole. Anyway, Clinton Watts saying, dig the clock. I assume you're talking about this clock here. Old style. It's an old style clock right there, baby. Sweet Valentine barrel up there. I gotta cut a couple of things. Oh, Mike Bernardo. He says, hey, cheers, Matt. I'm gonna do a little social distancing handoff with Mike tomorrow. But yeah, this is a fun beer. I like it. I can dig it. I can get down with it. You know, tasty bevy. Let's put it that way. Good stuff. So there you go. A little review in the books. Like I said, it's definitely up there as one of the better ones I've had, but fun is the name of the game here. Like, I'm curious about the value and availability on this. Really, it's the mouthfeel. It's the mouthfeel in combination with the way it doesn't go heavily citrus on this, I think is kind of its calling card and what people would dig on it. So if you like those things, I like this. There you go. Live review, 16 minutes in. I'll hang out, finish the beer, then we'll go from there. I gotta go hang out with my boy, my Micah Bean is just over a month old now. He's getting very cool. He was cool from day one, but that dude is getting very, very cool. Not annoying like you, Taco. He gets also like Taco gets annoying when like he's in this room and I'm talking and there's nobody else around. He doesn't understand what's going on, so he freaks out. Mike is really cool. Like over the past couple days, it seems like a switch has flipped in his brain to where he's now starting to engage. Like before, it was like he would just kind of look around and every now and then he'd look at you, and he was doing a lot of like eye contact even from almost the get-go. But today I'm 99% sure I heard him make his first kind of vocal noises, like him trying to communicate kind of noises. And that it wasn't just random grunts and groans and whines and all that kind of stuff. And it was very cool. It was like the first time he made like a purposeful noise to try to communicate, which is very cool. And he's smiling now a lot of times purposefully, which is infinitely super cool. Because it would like, you play with him and you talk to him and kind of rub his cheek or whatever. And then he smiles for you, as opposed to he would smile before, but it was more like, okay, I'm taking a fart or I'm taking a shit. I'm going to smile. You didn't get a real smile. Dude. Okay. Let's do this. We'll let Taco out. You're a whiny son of a bitch. Come on. Go out there. There we go. At least he'll whine from outside now, so we have that going for us, which is nice. So yeah, let's see. We had a Taco want some beer too. He does. Window beer reviewer Thomas chiming in, as is Wayne's Beer Delivery, saying hello, Matt, and he's actually welcome in the chat also. Sipping on some Evil Twin Greenhouse Oat Lager. This stuff is ridiculous. Here's the thing, though, that like, how much did you pay for it, though? I don't know how much. That's the thing. That's the price point that kills me. Because like this beer, like I was drinking this Grim, today's special 5.5% pale ale, delicious. I paid $18 and change for this. I'm not angry at that number because the beer is effing delicious. But man, you're talking about a oat lager. If that's above, I know it's above $12. You paid more than $12. I know that. What if it's about $12? It's kind of like, I know breweries have to make money, man, but man, that sucks. That just sucks. Anyway. But yeah. So what else is going on? Working again. I'm back at work. Had my little paternity leave. Still working from home a couple days a week, which is nice. I monetized. I'm sure you guys have noticed that now. There will be ads running. I put up a post asking people if they saw ads. Some did, some didn't. I'm seeing ads. And for the most part, almost everybody that commented said, why aren't you doing it? Like, they're like, that shit's dumb. So we'll see how that hashes out. I may keep doing it. I may not. We'll see what's what. But the big thing is the podcast is coming back. And it's coming back really, really well. If those that aren't familiar with the podcast, I used to do a radio show, an actual physical radio show. I'd go to a radio station and do a radio show, and then that ceased to be because it was too much. Like podcasts are so much easier and so much better. The radio show, I had to be on a Sunday at noon. I had to be in a radio station every Sunday, so I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go away. I couldn't have it hang out. I couldn't have fun and go different places. I'd always have to be in that place every day. So moved it to a podcast. Ended up doing a podcast for a couple of years, and then COVID hit. And I'm a big proponent of taking COVID very, very, very seriously. And so I kind of put it on hiatus because the whole MO and the whole shtick around the podcast was in-person interviews. Sure, I did a couple remotes here and there, Hot Butcher because they're in Chicago, but, people I wanted to talk to. And I was just like, I'm going to stop. I actually had one podcast I recorded right before everything kind of went down, and I haven't posted it yet because the audio is so bad on it. But I got to see if I actually have to reach out to the brewery because I never posted it and never explained why. That's me being a douche. But regardless, I was going to wait COVID out. I assumed it would be a year or so, and then, a year, give or take. And I'll take a year off. I won't do it for a year. I'll do the YouTube stuff. I'll do some online stuff. And it just, nothing happened. COVID's still going strong, even though I'm vaccinated. My wife and my child is not. So I was like, screw it. I just lit something under my ass about a week or two ago. And I was like, I'm just doing it again. So I just started I had one person I wanted to do. I was like, okay, I'll write these two people. And I'm like, if one of them writes back that they want to do the podcast, I'm like, then I'll really kind of take it seriously. And the one wrote back and he's like, yeah, I'm all about it. I was like, very cool. So then I was like, okay, who do I want to interview? Because I had that one person on lock. I'm going to be recording with them on May 9th. And I was like, who do I want to record with? And I decided to do people I know. And by that, I know brewers, local brewers that I know, and then some other people that I know in and around the industry. And I just sent out 4 emails going, hey, bringing the podcast back. Post COVID, do you want to do it? And all 4 were like, yes. So I have 5 guests. So I have over a month's worth of bookings already. And I haven't recorded anything. So, that's awesome. I'm going to keep hammering at the bookings. I want to get about 2 months out, minimum. And then just go from there and just roll it out like once a month. You're probably not going to hear anything till mid-May. Probably mid-May, I think, is when it's going to come back because you obviously have to record stuff and pull that kind of stuff up, but it's going to be fun. I'm not going to keep it strictly to brewers. Not that I kept it strictly to brewers last time, but mostly was. I'm going to expand out a little bit, maybe do some Instagram people, do some YouTubers, do journalists, those kind of people ancillary in and around beer and stuff like that. Maybe I might even pick a couple of people that send me beer mails. It'd be interesting to see the history and and where people came from when it comes to beer, So I want to expand that kind of that pool of people that I interview, but it should be fun. And it kind of makes sense because, at first I was very much of the mindset that it was that in-person interview that I was talking about previously. And COVID forced that out the door. And then once you combine that with it not going away, and also me having a son, my time is limited, now more than ever. And just doing it remotely just makes more sense, to be honest with you. And with the advent of of streaming, whether it be StreamYard or Zoom or anything like that, it makes it a little bit easier. Because the problem with doing the remote podcast, it was a lot of kind of heavy lifting when it came to the logistics of actually getting it recorded. By that I mean, some people aren't just tech nerds, and some people are just not into those kind of things. So it'd be a lot of hand holding. Okay, you got to record this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that, call here. And people don't understand the logistics of actually taping and recording a podcast, because you have to be able, it was hard enough in a certain extent to get a quality one without having a proper setup. Not that I don't have a proper setup, but you have to have a loop back so you don't actually, the person, when you're talking to them in the conversation, they hear you, but they don't hear the recording. Which now is kind of alleviated by pretty much Zoom calls. That was not really a thing. Before COVID, it was a thing, but it was expensive. It cost money, blah, 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 blah. Zoom is free now for the certain extent, you know what I mean? At least an hour's worth of Zoom is free, and that's easy enough. StreamYard is, you know, we have the premium one, so we can go longer with that, but it just makes it a little bit easier. So it just kind of makes more sense. Not that I won't do in-person interviews. It's kind of part and parcel. The reason why I did it was just so, you know, could kind of have fun and hang out with people and drink beers. But yeah, it's going to be fun to bring that back, to be perfectly honest with you. I've missed it quite a bit. And I'm looking forward to it coming back. So put that bag over there and keep those beers cold, people. Comments. Let's see. Hope you get the guys from Be United OEC at some point. They have made my favorite beer of the past year. I would love to get Matthias on. He's on my list. I have a list of people, and OEC is on it. A little hard to get hold of. I'm not going to say I haven't asked him before and got zero response. But I don't know. It's weird because that's almost like a two-parter. Because I would like to actually talk about Be United as an entity, as an importer and what they do. And you know what they do as far as bringing beer in and bringing in the tanks and rekegging and recanning and doing all that kind of stuff as an importer and distributor, but then also talk about OEC and its ethos and how they do things. So if I do get them, I'd like to talk about them from both ends. I'd actually like to do it as like a two-parter. Like, let's talk about Be United, let's talk about OEC. And they do make great beers. Which one was your favorite? Was it one of the lagers that they put out this year? Because that shit was banging. I love that stuff. So we'll see what's what. Wayne's Beer Delivery. I'm drinking a Mexican style lager from RJ Records of the local breweries by me. Great stuff. There you go. Local's the thing. Smoke Ninja. Well, look who it is. Collab with Greg's Beer Reviews. I would interview Greg. Greg's been doing beer reviews for a long time. He's not my cup of tea when it comes to beer reviews. It's his focus and what he focuses on and whatnot is just I'm very particular about who I watch, but it would be an interesting interview to get his to talk to him about what he thinks about beer and things like that. I'd interview anybody, you know what I mean? Just because not like a kind of like slutty kind of way. Like, I don't give a fuck who I talk to, but like there's people, to get people's perspective on things, life and beer and how those things kind of work. I think it would be interesting. I do. And having a good podcast conversation is a really good conversation, if the interviewee, in an interviewer, you have to be decent at it. I think I'm probably less than decent at it, but if someone wants to talk about beer or wants to be interviewed for a podcast, it makes it infinitely easier to have that fun conversation. Because I've had times when I've had to grab and pull and yank questions and answers and all that kind of stuff out of somebody, and when they're willing and eager to give those kind of things up is where you really end up kind of striking gold. So we'll see. The Triskel sent one to you as a mystery beer. It was a lager with some funky Triskel hop. Okay. And I reckon it'd be great hearing from you do a few with fellow beer tubers. I'm definitely going to do it. I have a list of people that I want to talk to about it. Talk about just, their history and all the things behind it. I'm, going to cover a wide gamut of people, and I have a list of beer tubers that I want to talk to, and we'll do them. I have the means, I have the access, and I have the motivation. Apparently, yeah. I just had a baby. Why not add more to the workload? That makes more sense. So we'll see what's what, but it'll be fun. I'm excited to bring it back, and it'll be syndicated. If you haven't watched the video where I talk about it, what I'm going to do is the whole kind of construction of it is going to be, it's basically going to be a online hangout. I'm not going to do them live. I'm only going to do them recorded, pre-recorded, but I'm going to do like the StreamYard kind of Zoom thing. But I'm going to have, recorded on my end, high-end audio. I'm going to have recorded on their end, high-end audio. And if I can, high-end video, and on my end, high-end video. And then what I'll do is I'll slice and dice it up, because it's easier to have a conversation when it's pre-recorded, because brewers and beer tubers and journalists will be a little bit more kind of free-flowing, free talking, if they have the ability to omit and take out. Because when you're having some beers, you're hanging out online, it's always nice to kind of kind of talk about things in a certain sense, but every now and then you might say something you don't want to. You can't do that live. So there's always kind of like a guarded sense when you're talking about things. Like, you talk a lot of brewers, there's a lot of kind of what should I say? What can I say? If you can kind of paint a picture of anonymity or safeness in a conversation, you more often than not have a great conversation, or you get somebody who doesn't give a fuck. Like, my favorite interview I've ever done was with the Kimmick from Alchemist, but he just doesn't give a fuck. He would say something, be like, I don't give a fuck, put it up there. But a lot of, podcasts, I'll be like, hey man, we'll record, I'll edit what I think will be good. I'll send it to you if you want to listen to it. And you'd be like, you know what? I said this thing and I don't really think I shouldn't have said that. Can you take that out? There's nothing wrong with it. I have viewed nothing wrong with that. And that's why I think you have a better conversation when it's pre-recorded. So we'll pre-record it on both audio and video. And what I'll do is I'll release it on the podcast. And I'll release it on the podcast, and then I will syndicate it here on YouTube. I don't know if I'm going to do same day, but it'll definitely be up here too. So you'll get audio on the podcast, which will match the video, but then you'll get a decent video portion of the show too. Let's see. Yeah. Would you and Darwin ever bury the hatchet? Don't know the origin of the issue to begin with. I don't know. I mean, there's certain people I don't know. There's no hatchet to be buried. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It is what it is. Sometimes you like people, sometimes you don't. There's reasoning behind it, you know what I mean? But it's also like, I'm not a big fan of Greg's, but I would talk to Greg. Because, Greg is this, there's zero maliciousness and zero whatever in what Greg does. It's Greg does Greg, just not, there's certain people that, there's certain brewers I wouldn't talk to. There's certain journalists I wouldn't talk to. Certain beer tubers I wouldn't talk to. Just because it's also, you have to understand, it's also my beer channel, my podcast. I can talk to whoever I want to. I don't have to talk to anybody I don't want to. But I don't think he do it anyway. What he does is so purposeful and practiced, to be in an organic, open environment like that. I'm not sure it would be something he'd agree with anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I probably would. It would be fun, at least for me. Anyway, so yeah, what's going on, Kyle? I haven't talked for a bit, brother. Hopefully everything's great for you. But yeah, going on 30 minutes, almost done with this beer, so we'll see what's on. But I'm pumped about the podcast. Speaking of, so Monday, I'm actually recording a podcast, but not for me. I'm recording a podcast for somebody else. Let me bring up the information so I do not mess this up. There we go. Okay. So there's a podcast out there. Let me move that window. Called The Maine State of Mind. It's basically the Maine State of Mind, and Maine by Maine, the state. And it's produced and run by Justin Soderberg. He runs a podcast, and it's all pretty much Maine-based stuff, as the title would suggest. And if you look through his podcast. It's a lot. It's not just beer. A lot of different things are up there. So, I mean, his first podcast, was, just friends, his tattoo artist in there, coffee company, all that kind of stuff. But then, you pop into, some, comic book store owner, Oscar Blues Brewing. Like, then it gets into brewing stuff because Justin, for those who don't know, is like a district or GM for Orono Brewing up in Maine. And he just kind of covers a wide gamut of different people, hip hop producers to, engineers to all kinds of stuff. So it's not just beer centric stuff, even though he works in the beer industry. And he does a bunch of stuff with people from the beer industry, but inside and out. So he was just like, he's like, you want to come on the podcast? I was like, yeah, man, it's kind of cool. I've been to Maine, so maybe that qualifies me. And we kind of set it up, and we're going to record on Monday, which would be quite nice. Be fun. I've been the interviewee, on a podcast a couple times, and it's a good time to hang out and chat with people. I don't know what his turnaround time is for podcasts. I know some people turn them around, turn and burn. You record, you're up in a couple days or a week or so. So I don't know. So I'm going to record that with him on Monday. When he actually puts that up, I'll see if it's cool with him. If it's cool with him, maybe I'll syndicate on here. And that way you guys can find it here. But if you do, and I please ask you to do this, if I do syndicate that podcast on here and you do want to watch it, at least give the guy a subscription and a rating. Just because, the last thing I want to do is steal kind of traffic from what he does. Probably way more professional when it comes to podcasts and everything else than I am. So yeah, anyway, so that'll be fun. It'll be fun to do that on Monday. And then, a week or so later, I'll start banging out podcasts. So I have 5 podcasts lined up. I only have one booked because the other 4 I just didn't give dates to yet. I have to kind of hash out dates with them, but I have 5 lined up, and I think I'm going to try to jam in at least another 3 to 4, so I can get this kind of calendar hashed out, and it'll be pretty fun. So, go Cougs! Saying happy for you, man. Well, I'm happy for you. I assume he's talking about the baby. Wayne's Beer Delivery. I know you follow Arsenal, but do you ever watch MLS soccer? No. I shouldn't say no. I've been to MLS games before. I've been to a couple Red Bulls games. I've been to one Philly Union game. That's it. Have I watched MLS before? Yes, but very, very, very minimal. Probably, I would say I consume 1 to 3 MLS games a year. Whereas I'm watching 2 to 3 Premier League games a weekend, always Arsenal, and maybe a couple other that popped up. I watch FA Cup between, City today and Chelsea. So I'll watch. I like European soccer. I like how it's played. I like La Liga, but it's so hard, few and far between to find broadcasts, let alone English broadcasts. And not that I don't mind, like Spanish speaking broadcasts, just don't know what the broadcasts are saying. Plus, I think it's a little bit top heavy. There's a couple great teams in La Liga, and the rest is not that fun. I've watched a little bit the Bundesliga, but not that much. But Premier League is my jam. I'll watch a little bit of Scottish Premier League just because of family ties and things like that. But I don't mind the MLS. I just find it to be a little bit amateur, as far as talent goes. It's not that it's not. How do I put this without sounding like an asshole? I don't think that's possible. Everything's slowed down. Everybody's slower, so it doesn't seem like. So if you had 2 race cars racing at 200 miles per hour, it would look kind of the same as 2 cars racing each other at 140 miles per hour, but they're still only doing 140 miles per hour. Oh, my goddamn phone still recording. I'm like, why is my phone hot in my pocket? So it's just, the passes aren't as crisp. The movement just isn't as dynamic. Everything's just slowed down a little bit to where it's like, and it's just a little bit less, when you see a pass and it just doesn't get through. Not that you don't have those moments in the Premier League, but more often than not you do. And then you're like, man, that you should have made that pass, or that cross is horrible, or, some of the decisions they make. There's a reason why the MLS is the MLS, and the type of talent that plays in the MLS plays in the MLS, so I don't mind it at all. I'm not trying to poop on it. I want it to thrive. But it's like, it almost seems like, each nation is kind of propped up by its level of production of player. Premier League, there's a lot of international talent in the Premier League. There's a lot of really, really good English and UK talent. Same thing with, Bundesliga, La Liga, and Serie A and all that stuff. It's like, obviously there's great international talent, but it's their country and the players they produce that really kind of make that league what it is. And it's just, soccer is just, we just don't, the best players we have just don't play soccer. It's mostly, I would say now it's still, NFL is still number one as much as a hit that it takes. Basketball, and football, with, baseball being a distant third, but still much bigger pool of talent come from the US in there. And I know this is an argument that some people say is bullshit, but I will say it. I think it's 100% true. If our best talented athletes in the United States, the majority of them focused on soccer, we would be unfucking beatable. Like, we would, like, almost to the point, like, the amount of talent we produce from an athletic level in the United States, if those top athletic talents chose to focus on soccer, then we would win World Cup after World Cup. It wouldn't even be close. Like, it would not be fucking close. You're telling me you're giving me LeBron James, Steph Curry, fucking Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, fucking Shaq, those kind of players playing soccer, and it's just not even going to be fucking funny. Not even funny. It would be crazy. Insane. So when that focus shifts, and I hope it does, it's not that I'm like beholden to the Premier League as my choice of soccer outlet. I choose it because, one, it's predominantly like broadcast in English. I don't speak a second language, so it works a little bit more for me. My mom was from overseas, she was from Scotland. I have ties there. It all kind of comes together. But if you told me you're getting just as good, if not equal of a product here in the United States, I would be watching. So let's do a beer live chat and talk about soccer most of the time. Hey, Matt, just wondering what these two U.S. breweries are like. Mountain Walking Humble Forager just started to appear on Aussie shelves. Interesting that you mentioned that, because my experience with them is small but current. So I've had 3 Mountain Walking beers and I've had 2 Humble Forager beers. I liked Mountain Walking stuff. I had a Pilsner that was quite nice. I think I had a hazy and I had a fruited sour IPA, which I drank last night, actually. They were all quite nice. I'm not going to sit here and say I was blown away by any of them. They were quite nice. The Humble Foragers were kind of a hot mess, both of them. I mean, I don't remember the first one I had, so that might be a clue. The second one I had, which was like I don't even know what it was. It had nutmeg in it. Let's put it that way. Is probably one of the worst beers I've ever had in my life. But it wasn't because it was badly made. It was one of those smoothie pastry stout things. But it was like, it was crazy. Like, even looking at it, I took pictures of it, actually. Here, I'll show you a picture of it. It was the worst. It was really not that tasty. This is what the beer looked like. That's freshly poured, mind you. like literally like chunks of disgustingness. Like it, and it tasted horrible too. Because I've had like those fruit smoothie beers, and they tasted fine. They just looked like hot garbage. That looked like hot garbage and tasted like hot garbage. Now is it might even be one beer from them, maybe two, I forget. But is even one or two beer a proper sample size for a brewery? I don't think so. So I'm going to still try their stuff. Now that being said, both Humble Forager and Mountain Walking both appeared on my shelves here over the past month. Not only that, I haven't purchased any of their beer yet. All of the Mountain Walking and Humble Forager has come via someone sent me a box from Tavour. If you're not familiar with Tavour, it's basically like you shop online for beer. They send you beer. A guy in Jersey, Mike, he actually put a order together in Tavour and had it sent to me. And then Tavour themselves sent off a box, like a promotional box, and they had some of their beers in them. So I actually haven't purchased any of their beers locally. That being said, they were quite pricey. Like I think I saw a local Mountain Walking beer. I know I saw a Humble Forager, but I didn't pick it up. I saw Mountain Walking, and I want to say like it was a 4-pack of a double IPA, and I think it was like $20 American, which is like crazy. So that's my thoughts on them. Felix, Xbox Series X or PS5? I'm team PS5, man. I've been a PlayStation guy from day one. I've had every PlayStation console, including PlayStation 5. I got a PlayStation 5 about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and I haven't used it. In this, I have a reason for that, and I have a reason for why I'm a PlayStation 5 guy. I'll get into that. So PlayStation 5, I bought it literally because you don't know when you're going to have a PlayStation 5. They're so hard to find that like I was trying to get one for months, and I just couldn't get one. And I was kind of like, at first I was waiting to buy a PlayStation 5 so I could play some PlayStation 5 games, and then I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm like, let me start playing some other game while I try to buy this PlayStation 5 because I'm very picky about my games. And he decided to revisit a video game that I haven't played in many, many years. And by that, I mean, it only came out in PlayStation 3. So that's how long it's been. And one of them was a launch title, and it was Resistance, Fall of Man. That was a launch title. And they made 3 games out of it. Resistance 1, 2, and 3. And it's a first-person shooter, but I always enjoyed the first one. And I figured, you know what, screw it. I'm like, I'll buy those. I bought like all 3 games on like eBay for like $10 total. And I got halfway through Resistance, and I finally got a PlayStation 5. So I got it, set it up, played a little bit of Miles Morales, and I was like, you know what? I'm really into this Resistance thing right now. So I just got a PlayStation. I'm not going to play it. So I've been playing Resistance on PlayStation 3. I've been loving it. I tinker with the PlayStation. I'll turn the PlayStation 4 on. I'll play a little bit of Miles Morales every now and then. But I've always been a PlayStation guy. I've owned Xbox. I own Xbox 360. Actually, I own the original Xbox and Xbox 360. I haven't owned any of the newer ones. For good reason, though. For two reasons specifically. One, I'm a very huge PlayStation exclusive guy. I like some of my favorite games of all time, Metal Gear, Uncharted, Infamous. There's been some specific PlayStation 4 games that are, The Last of Us. You know what I mean? Like those games are real. I'm a almost exclusively offline, story driven, non RPG. Like I don't like RPGs. I want my gaming experience to start and end somewhere in that 30-hour range, give or take. I don't want to spend hours and days and months and years on a game. And I like a story. I like there to be like a really proper story. I could almost give 2 flying fucks about online. Every now and then I'm played on some online gaming, a little Halo here, a little bit of Uncharted online, some FIFA, shit like that. But I'm very much not an online gamer. I'm not an MMO guy. I'm an RPG guy. So that's why PlayStation has always appealed to me, because while there are some fun exclusives on Xbox, I love Gears of War, Forza's fine, but I got Gran Turismo. There are some exclusives that are fine, but it is what it is. The other part is I am actually team PC too. So I have a pretty decent gaming rig. I have right now I actually upgraded about a year ago. I upgraded my computer. I have a Ryzen 3900X with a 2080 Ti, 32 gigabytes RAM, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's pretty much anything that comes out in Xbox now comes out on PC. So I don't need an Xbox. I don't remember last time something came out on Xbox that I couldn't get on a PC. So I probably use my my gaming PC way more than my PlayStation, but there's certain specific exact games that I just cannot get on PC. So that's why I'm a PlayStation guy, but I'm more of a PC master race with a hefty dose of PlayStation. And then Ryan's the one who actually sent this transient beer. It says, Matt, sorry I couldn't find a date on that brew. They're very lucrative with their dates for some reason. I'm assuming it was semi-fresh. Glad you enjoyed it though. One of my favorites. Thank you very much for their very fun beer. Tasted quite nice. If it was old, then kudos to those guys because they still make really good beers that hold up with a bit of time on it. So, like I said, go check out Ryan's Instagram. This is the homebrewing dad on the old Insta, making homebrewing and all that fun stuff. So I'm done with this beer, a gulp or two. So we're actually going to cut it short here. We're at 51 minutes. And I just want to say thank you. Thank everybody from Ryan, everybody that chimed in, all the people that kind of sat here and watched me ramble into the ether by myself. And yeah, there you go. So fun little online live beer review, a little post chat, a little bit of Saka, a little bit of PlayStation talk, a little bit of podcasting talk, all that fun stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little live stream. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of beer along with maybe your own live stream.